I watched Sunday Night Football, and I thought it was amazing. Really amazing. First of all, there is truly such a thing at times as home field advantage in the NFL. Not always, right? Obviously not with the Chargers. Didn't appear that way with the Rams. You look statistically in the National Football League, and it is easier now than ever to win on the road. I would say there are some places that's not the case. And a place like the Dome on a Sunday night, a standalone game against the Cowboys is just such a place. Even without Drew Brees, and Teddy Bridgewater was fine. Taysom Hill was fine, but there's a place where, quite obviously, there is some home field advantage. But here's what we've become. And I would say that it's like LeBron James. And I want to get to how LeBron gets in. But it really started with politics, right? Politics and maybe political TV created this side of the aisle sort of thing. Like the truth is that most of us are in the middle. If I said to you, and this is true, that I've generally voted mostly to the Democratic sort of thing, you'd go, oh, you're a liberal. Like, no. Well, then you're a conservative. Like, no. I think most of us are centrists, right? Think of any sort of political issue. And if you say, are you all or are you nothing? You're like, well, what about in the middle? That's what most people are. But politics had, and look, I'll credit Fox News. They created this brilliant thing, right? Where they're so far out to the right. They're so far in on the right. And they actually draw a line on TV and they have what's called a two box. One person, the other person. And one person is a conservative and one person is a liberal. And they can't possibly see the other person's argument. Right? That's what politics have done. That's where we are with Dak Prescott. Here's how it relates to LeBron James. I don't think LeBron James was the best player in the league last year. I don't think he's been the best player in the league at all times for most of the past couple of years. I actually think Kevin Durant was better and more effective more often. And while you can sit there and tell me that LeBron James statistically, look at the stats, he just wasn't healthy. The fact is that when he was healthy and putting up those stats, they weren't losing to playoff teams last year. They lost to Phoenix, who was tanking, Memphis, who was tanking. You pick out the bad teams who they were playing, and they were losing to them. And LeBron James himself this weekend came out and said, like, hey, if we're not playing through Anthony Davis when he's on the floor, we're not doing something right. He's that great. LeBron's saying smartly, like, hey, look, I'm 35. Can I give you 40 and 20 and 10 some nights? Sure, but I can't do it every night. I'm just not that guy anymore. Anthony Davis is going to be more consistently great than I am. LeBron is telling you, hey, I'm not the best player in the league anymore. Still great. Still can be great when he has competitive greatness. Can be great when greatness is called upon. But he knows. So now if I say, like, hey, LeBron is not the best player in the league, might not be a top 5 player in the league. You're like, oh, that's blasphemy. You're an idiot. You're a hater. That's what you are. You're a hater. Okay, is he better than James Harden? He's saying he's not better than Anthony Davis. Is he better than Giannis? Like, really? Is he really better than Giannis? By the way, he shoots better. Like, okay, but Giannis does literally everything as well or better. He's much younger. You're just going to be better when you're that much younger. Right? Is he better than Steph? Totally different. Completely different player. Oh, he doesn't play both ends. All right, is he better than Clay? Like, let's kind of go through the league and start to pick apart, who he's actually. Is he better than Kawhi? He's not better than Kawhi Leonard right now. He's just not. Kawhi Leonard is a better basketball player than LeBron James. LeBron's a better passer, everything. But again, I'm not even arguing. But I can make the argument he's not a top 5 player. He's borderline a top 10 player in the NBA. He's 35 years old. But if I don't say LeBron James is the best player in the league, then I'm a hater. Which is where we are with Dak Prescott. I don't believe that Dak Prescott is the best quarterback in the league. I don't believe he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. I think he's good enough for the Cowboys to win with. He looked great on the opening drive of the second half as he's been. Have you guys seen the numbers? Opening drives the second half so far? I don't believe he has an incomplete pass through 4 games. Like, that is obscene. Part of that is Dak. Part of that is Kellen Moore. Right? The guy who should have gotten the chance when Romo got hurt himself, then became his backup, now his quarterback coach, now offensive coordinator. The adjustments they make at halftime. And it's not Dak's fault that the Cowboys fumbled twice. Big fumbles. It's also not his fault that Amari Cooper couldn't get open last night. Or that Tyron Smith had a high ankle sprain, which, by the way, has been deemed to be not as bad as first thought. That's good news. But let's also be honest that Dak Prescott was great through 3 games against 3 teams that combined winning 1 game. I think they now have 2 wins because the Giants beat the Redskins, which are, right? But the Giants defense still stinks. The Redskins defense stinks. The Dolphins are one of the worst teams that have ever been put together in the National Football League. So I get it. But Dak Prescott is a dude who has 6 300-yard passing games in his career. Okay, I want you to let that soak in for a second. 6 in his career. You're like, wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, so here's the point. Like, 300 yards passing is not usually the number for a great game by a quarterback, right? You're like 400 yards. 500 yards like crazy, but 300 yards is the meridian for a good game. He's 6-0 when he passed for over 300. And his only loss when throwing for over 300 yards happened to come in a playoff game against the Green Bay Packers when they were down big and they came back. And then, of course, Aaron Rodgers made a ridiculous throw that kicked a field goal to win the game. He's had 16 games in his career under 200 yards passing. Think about that. That's some 1970s. That's some... Russell Wilson in his first year had 9 200 or less yards passing game. But now he's evolved into being one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. The Cowboys don't win because of him. But they also don't win in spite of him. They have to run the football to be successful. And the key to last night with the Saints was they were able to manage Ezekiel Elliott in the run game. They were able to get a couple of turnovers. And they forced them into third and less manageable situations and pressured Dak Prescott and sack him. And when the offensive line didn't give him 5, 6, 7 seconds to go through his progressions and set his feet, hey, he's an average quarterback at best. That doesn't mean get rid of him. That doesn't mean draft another quarterback. That doesn't mean not pay him. That means just be reasonable, which is what most people are. Most people are reasonable. It's a reasonable argument to say, hey, LeBron James is one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA. But at 35 years old, he can't guard the way he used to. Okay? The game isn't played isolation, create the double team, kick out, isn't played the way he used to. And while for one night he can be great, the idea of 82 nights he's better than his 29, 30-year-old counterparts is like laughable. But we're in this era of political discussion, which is not really discussion. Political arguments have become sports arguments. You're either all for or all against. Right? Either all for or all against. We can't have a sensible gun argument because you can either have right to guns or no guns. What's most important, though, is that a couple of kids have died from vaping, so let's get rid of vaping cigarettes and let's not address the gun issue where hundreds and thousands of people are hurt or sometimes killed because of them, because vaping is a far bigger scourge on our society. You're either for or against. So, look, Dak didn't get exposed last night. He's exactly what we've told you he is. He's a good quarterback. They got a great value in the 4th round. He fell to the 4th round because he wasn't that good in college. He got a DUI right before the draft. And he needs other things to go right in order to be the best version of himself. He's not Aaron Rodgers, nor has he ever been, and he probably never will be. I don't believe he's, and the idea of, Jared Goff was terrible yesterday. By the way, Jared Goff threw for over 500 yards, something that's never happened to Dak Prescott, probably won't happen. But just because the Rams overpaid Jared Goff does not mean the Cowboys have to overpay a second player on their team. Well, the Rams did it. Trust me, I'm a parent. The keeping up with the Joneses thing is the hardest thing ever. So I watched last night and continued to be impressed by Saints fans creating a real home field advantage. And I thought the Saints, frankly, just outplayed the Cowboys. One of the things I hate in analysis from fans, and especially from people like me that are paid to analyze games, is, well, this team wanted it more. But I will tell you this. I thought the Saints play harder than the Cowboys. Whether you want to call it wanted it more, competed better, whatever it was, that Saints team was nasty. They were filthy. And the Cowboys have been built around their offensive line, their ability to run the football. And when you have those two things working, Dak Prescott can be a really good quarterback. They weren't working last night, and he was okay. He had moments where he's really good. He had moments where he wasn't. He had moments where he's under duress, and he couldn't make plays. I'm not against him. I'm not against him getting a new contract, but I wouldn't pay him more than anybody else. 1, because I don't have to, and 2, because he's not that good. That doesn't make me a hater. That makes me, just like everything else in the real world, in the middle and reasonable. But apparently that's disappeared from political and sports talk. By the way, Dak Prescott, if you want to make the argument about Jared Goff, like, oh, he's better than Jared Goff. Okay. I mean, if we're going by win-loss record, which is everybody goes by, right? Well, you can't take away his win-loss record. Jared Goff's actually 2-0 against Dak Prescott. And should be pointed out that Jared Goff did get to a Super Bowl. And, of course, I, like anybody else, think Jared Goff is overpaid. But I also think that Jared Goff's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Not that much better, but better. Hi, I'm Doug Gottlieb from Fox Sports Radio, and you need to subscribe to the Fox Sports Radio YouTube channel where you can hear and see me. Why not? Plus, everybody else who's awesome here in Fox Sports Radio.